Hello everyone. Well, today we have to talk about last night's bomb attack at the Ariana Grande concert at the Manchester Arena. And as you can see from the pictures, it was pretty horrible. Particularly given that they were mainly children, does make it seem even worse. So in case you don't know, here's this report from the BBC. Manchester Arena blast, 19 dead and about 50 hurt. 19 people have been killed and about 50 injured in a suspected terror attack at Manchester Arena. The blast happened at about 22:35 British Standard Time on Monday, following a pop concert by the US singer Ariana Grande. The cause is unknown, but Prime Minister Theresa May said her thoughts were with those affected by what is being treated by the police as an appalling terrorist attack. British Transport Police said the explosion was in the arena's foyer. Yes, and I've got this full statement from Manchester Police here saying they are treating it as a terrorist attack. So let's have a look at the scenes in the arena just after the bomb went off. I think Manchester Arena has a capacity of about 20,000, so not surprisingly all hell broke loose, and it's very lucky that people weren't injured trying to escape actually. BBC Home Affairs correspondent Daniel Sanford said senior counter-terrorism officers were assembling in London and liaising with the Home Office. Unconfirmed reports from two unnamed US officials suggest that the attack was carried out by a suicide bomber. The BBC's Tim Ashburner, who is at the scene, spoke to some volunteer paramedics who treated the injured for shrapnel-like injuries. Shortly after the blast, Manchester Victoria Station, which is close to the concert venue, was closed and all trains cancelled. Greater Manchester Police carried out a precautionary controlled explosion in the Cathedral Garden area of the city at about 1:32. The force confirmed it was not a suspicious item. Prime Minister Theresa May said her thoughts are with the victims and families of those affected in what is being treated by the police as an appalling terrorist attack. Greater Manchester Metro Mayor Andy Burnham said, "My heart goes out to families who have lost loved ones. My admiration to our brave emergency services. A terrible night for our great city." Yes, and we know we're going to get lots of this, aren't we? I was looking through Twitter feeds and Justin Trudeau and Nicola Sturgeon and various pop stars are all going out with "my heart goes out to the victims" and all this. So we'll go through this process. Everybody cares about Manchester, pray for Manchester, and people will talk about how brave the emergency services are. And obviously they are, but these things shouldn't be happening in the first place. And I'm reasonably certain this will be a so-called homegrown terrorist, because this is what multicultural Europe has become. Let's listen to this eyewitness description.
I didn't go to the concert, my wife and daughter did, so I was waiting up at the first set of white doors. As I was waiting, an explosion went off and it threw me through the first set of doors, about 30 foot to the next set of doors. When I got up and looked round, there was about 30 people scattered everywhere. Some of them looked dead, might have been unconscious, but there was a lot of fatalities. So my first thing was to run in the stadium, try and find my wife and daughter. When I couldn't find them, I went back out, and with the police and the fire and ambulance, whoever was there, I looked at some of the bodies trying to find my family. But luckily they weren't there. Managed to find them outside the arena and got them back to the hotel we're in. But I phoned up because so many reports coming in that it was like a balloon and things not happening as it was. It was definitely an explosion and there's definitely a lot of fatalities.
Right. I mean, we're actually looking at a police statement from Greater Manchester Police confirming a lot of what people have been saying. A number of fatalities have occurred as a result of this. A number of other people have been injured as well, and people are being told to avoid the area. This explosion, a lot of force then, it actually blew you off your feet.
Well, I'd been talking to one of the arena girls in a yellow coat while I was waiting for my family to come out. And me and her got through the doors towards the wall where they go in. And she got up, she was all right, and then I got up, looked around, and then it was some force. I mean, my ears are still ringing now, so I might be talking a bit loud. But it was, the whole building shook.
No doubt in your mind that this will some sort of detonation, some kind of device?
Yeah, definitely an explosion.
I mean, it's terrible, isn't it, that this is happening everywhere now. I think Paris has been on full alert for about a year and a half. A few weeks ago there was an attack in London, now Manchester. And another thing that everybody will say is the politicians will come out and remember it's them who are to blame for the massive importation of Muslim immigrants over decades who have now become radicalised. And they're going to say, this will not affect us. We're going to stand together and show how strong we are. Of course it will affect us. The next time there's a big concert in somewhere like Manchester or Sheffield or London or any country, you think twice about going. Of course it's going to affect people. It's insane to say that it isn't. There's loads more eyewitness reports here. Emma Johnson said she and her husband were at the arena to pick up their daughters aged 15 and 17. It was definitely a bomb. It was definitely in the foyer, she told BBC Radio Manchester. We were stood at the top of the stairs and the glass exploded. It was near to where they were selling the merchandise. The whole building shook. There was a blast and then a flash of fire afterwards. There were bodies everywhere. Another report here. Josh Elliott, speaking to BBC Radio 5 Live, said he was shocked by the news of the fatalities. A bang went off and everyone stopped and screamed. We basically hit the deck, he said. It was bedlam. It was horrific. We got up when we thought it was safe and got out as quickly as possible. People were crying and in tears. Police cars were everywhere. We just wanted to get out as quickly as possible because we didn't know what was going on. I don't have anything to say about this. People like Sadiq Khan and Francois Hollande coming out and saying that this is life in a big city and we have to learn to live with it. No, we don't. We don't have to learn to live with this. Somebody has to take the blame. And obviously it's not all Muslims, but this is coming from Muslim communities. And it's inspired by radical Islam and preached by radical Islamist preachers. The fact that our politicians seem completely unprepared to do anything about this is utterly and completely crazy. And everybody is afraid to call a spade when we know where it's coming from. I found these reports from Rita Katz on Twitter. And Rita Katz, in case you don't know, is the director of the Site Intelligence Group. And no, they're not just anti-Muslim, because they report on the jihadist threat, Western jihadists, terrorism and extremists, but also far-right and far-left groups, and dark web and cyber security. But a couple of hours after the blast, this is what I found on her Twitter account. No claim regarding blast in Manchester, but ISIS accounts celebrating the attack, disseminating media and threats. So you got this, for example. Manchester Arena, Ariana Grande, just terror. Someone who's even changed their Twitter name to Manchester Arena. Kill him everywhere. Britain and England and Manchester and UK and Britain, British and London. And people like Milo Yiannopoulos get banned from Twitter for insulting feminists. More tweets from Rita Katz. Pro-ISIS forum users call Manchester attack a successful and surprising blow to Britain. Frame attack as retaliation for airstrikes. More here from Site. And finally, the third tweet. Lately, pro-ISIS accounts have called supporters to hunt your prey in the UK, providing info on community centres, tourist areas and government buildings. So if tomorrow they say we're going to stand together and not let this affect us, we'd be mad, wouldn't we? A combination of these terrorist attacks, plus large Muslim communities which are turning into no-go areas, is changing the face of Europe, and our politicians are to blame. Let's have a listen to another eyewitness report.
She was inside that arena, saw the explosion. Kiara, what did you see?
Yeah, they just started letting everyone out. The music had just gone off. There was a massive explosion. There was a bang. There was smoke coming up. Sorry, excuse me. There was smoke coming up through the steps, and everyone was just screaming and shouting, saying that it could be a bomb. And there was people shouting for the kids. There was people shouting for the other half, trying to find people. And as we went out into the concourse, to get out of the arena, there was just bodies scattered about everywhere. And there was just blood and people's belongings on the floor. And we just ran. There was all the traffic was at a standstill, and we were just running through the roads. And it was just chaos. It was just...
Kiara, I'm so sorry. I know that you haven't even had a moment to process this, and you're coming on to share this. I appreciate that so much. When you walked through those tunnels, you're saying you saw a lot of people who were lying down.
Yeah, there was at least 20, 30 people on the floor. Some that you could see straight off were just dead. You could just see that they were just passed away. there was some people with injuries. There was a few, like, there was a guy or there was a husband that holding, like, what looked like his wife, and she wasn't in a good state.
And from where you were, Kiara, those people, could you tell sort of, did it look like it had happened sort of in the stampede, or was this near where the explosion may have happened? Were you even able to tell as you went by?
There was blood everywhere. It wasn't in the stampede because there wasn't that many people out at that minute. It was just as we opened the door to get out of the arena, as they were letting people out.
And there was blood.
Yeah, there was blood and people's shoes and handbags and bits of food and phones, and it was just mad. It was just crazy.
And Kiara, was the people you were with, are they all safe?
Yeah, we're all safe. It's just a bit shook up at the minute. I don't think I'll ever get rid of the images.
Kiara, thank you so very much. I'm sorry. I know this is so hard. I am so glad for you that you're okay, but I know that at this moment is a mixed blessing as you think about what you have seen. Thank you so much for telling us about it.
You're welcome. I'm just hoping that everyone finds who they were with, and that everyone. I just feel so sorry for the fatalities and the families of those affected.
So how old must that girl be? 12, 13, 14? And at one point she says, I don't think I'll ever get rid of the images. Stop and think about this. There were 20,000 young people in that concert hall. And all of those people will be traumatised for life. And they'll talk about this to their friends. And also tomorrow, the media will stop worrying about the victims and start worrying about the backlash against Muslims. I was in my teens in the 70s, so I remember the fear of the IRA, but it was nothing like this. Europe will never be the same again, and it's becoming more like a police state all the time. Another one of the tweets I found on Twitter. This is from my own Nottinghamshire police. As pictures begin to emerge from the Manchester arena, it's important to show sensitivity towards victims. Please avoid sharing. Dignity, respect. Is it really about dignity and respect? Or is it really about telling people to shut up? Isn't it interesting, when something happens in Syria or when a refugee dies, we get pictures of it rammed in our face all the time. But when there are victims in Europe, we never see the pictures because the powers that be don't want us to be as appalled as we should be. I could go on reading these damn reports, but there's no point, is there? Europe is changing, the world is changing. Obviously, we have to push back against terrorism. But terrorism isn't the problem. There's an extreme form of Islam that is perfectly consistent with the Quran. It seems to me that politicians, police and the media are just not prepared to face up to this. We have to say what it is. The problem is Islam, and we have to root it out. One of the ways to do this is to arrest all radical preachers and close down mosques where this kind of indoctrination is taking place. There needs to be less immigration because even though it's not all Muslims, the more Muslims you have in the country, the more likelihood this is to happen and the bigger the ghettos get. I seem to have been talking about this continually over the last few days. It's the rape gangs, it's the attacks on Jews, it's the terrorist attacks, it's the halal meat, it's the whole damn thing, and it's changing the face of society. And to be perfectly honest, I'm just sick to the gut of it. I don't want our societies to change. Seems that France and my beloved Britain are already lost. I really don't want this to happen here. And I don't want it to happen in the United States either. We have to speak out about it. I don't know if you know, but I've set up a website called the European Defence League. And there's a forum there which I'll link to because I think we need to have serious discussions about this. Anyway, that's all from me. Please leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to this channel. I'm sick to the stomach, but I'll be back talking about something soon. So please have as good a day as you possibly can.